So why is Britain roasting Jeremy Corbyn? It's a long answer, but I'll stick to 3 points. 1. Anti-Semitism. Corbyn is accused of hostility and discrimination towards Jews. That's what dominated these headlines too. Britain's chief rabbi has said that Jeremy Corbyn is unfit for office, and he has good reason. The Labour Party's track record on Jews is poor. Party members have made anti-Semitic remarks and they haven't been pulled up. They face no action. The Jewish Labour movement claims there are 130 cases of anti-Semitism against the party members. Labour denies this figure, but Labour has not provided numbers of its own. Basically, they're on thin ice on this one. Jeremy Corbyn became the leader of the party in 2015. He has been accused of turning a blind eye to Jew haters in Labour. And now the chief rabbi has spoken. He wrote in a British newspaper saying that the soul of the United Kingdom is at stake in this election. Labour says it is doing everything to address the matter. The rabbi calls this claim mendacious fiction. He said, and I'm quoting again, "A new poison sanctioned from the very top has taken root in the Labour." Very strong words. If this condemnation was not strong enough, it has multiplied. Christian, Hindu, Muslim and Sikh leaders have all reportedly backed the rabbi's views. They all condemn Jeremy Corbyn. This can only mean bad news in election season. The Conservatives were quick to latch on to the issue. Prime Minister Boris Johnson appeared before the media himself to say this.
All I will say about that, I do think it is a very serious business when the chief rabbi speaks as he does. I've never known anything like it, and clearly. It is a failure of leadership on the part of the Labour leader that he has not been able to stamp out this virus in the Labour Party. But I'm afraid it is cognate with a general failure of leadership that we're seeing at the moment. Because I just get back to my central point. I do not see how you can propose to take over the running of this country next year when you will not answer the fundamental question that people want to know. What is your direction on Brexit?
So religious leaders do not support Jeremy Corbyn. What about the security establishment in the UK? They call him a threat in so many words. A former chief of Britain's spy agency MI6 called Jeremy Corbyn a threat to national security. Sir Richard Dearlove has spent 38 years with the British Intelligence Service. He is blunt in his criticism. He wrote in a British newspaper warning his country against electing Corbyn as Prime Minister. The Labour Party, of course, slammed those comments. They tried to manage the crisis until the party was hit by a much bigger storm. Jeremy Corbyn walked into a TV studio for an interview. It all went south from there. You can call this the final nail in the proverbial coffin. The Labour leader was grilled and given the chance to apologise. He didn't. His defiance showed him in poor light and his ignorance exposed him. When asked about specific promises and plans from his manifesto, Corbyn was found struggling for an answer. If a political interview can be a disaster, this is it.
That you're anti-Semitic. That's quite a lot of British Jews. I mean, wouldn't you like to take this opportunity tonight to apologise to the British Jewish community for what's happened?
What I'll say is this. I am determined that our society will be safe for people of all faiths. I don't want anyone to be feeling insecure in our society. And our government will protect every community against the abuse they receive on the streets, on the trains, or in any other form of life.
I'll try one more time.
No, hang on a minute, Andrew. Can I explain what we're trying to do?
You have, and you've been given plenty of time to do it. I asked you if you wanted to apologise,
Andrew,
and you
I
haven't.
don't want anyone to go through what anyone has gone through.
And you've said that several times. I understand that, Mr. Corbyn. I was asking you about an apology. Let's move on to Brexit.
Well, hang on. Can I just make it clear? Racism in our society is a total poison.
You've said that several times. So, we get that. I'm not arguing about that.
Be it Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, or any other form of racism. And I want to work with every community to make sure it's eliminated.
Right.
That is what my whole life has been about.
You made that clear, and people will make up their own minds. How do you pay for it?
Can I explain why?
No, I'd like you to explain how you pay for it.
Let me explain why.
Explain how you pay for it. That's my question.
Let me explain why.
Explain how you pay for it.
We'll pay for it because it has to be paid for.
But how?
It has to be paid for. It's a moral debt.
How will you pay
it's
for it?
It's a moral debt that's owed to those women.
Will you borrow?
Often between £30,000 and £50,000 has been wrongly taken from them.
I understand that's your case.
So,
that's not what I'm arguing with you about. I'm arguing to say, how
court-
will you find the money? Now, will you borrow for that?
But I'll just
You
say...
would borrow for it.
Can I finish?
But you would borrow for current spending,
Andrew, I
in other
realise your
words.
determination to find out about this. Can I explain?
Well, I would like to find out if you'd answer the question. You would borrow the 60 billion.
Andrew, it's going to be paid for to a specific cohort of women.
I don't know it's going to be paid for, Mr. Corbyn. It's £60 billion. It's not in your grey book. So are you going to borrow for it?
We will.
It's the only way you can pay for it.
We will raise the money for it, either from reserves or, if necessary...
We haven't got 60 billion of reserves, Mr. Corbyn.
Andrew, as I was explaining, it doesn't all get paid in 1 year.
OK.
It is over some years that it's paid for. And I just think we should just think for a moment. This is a group of women...
You've given that case, Mr. Corbyn, and there's other things I want to get on with. You've given that case.
And we will make sure they are compensated.
You just can't tell me how you pay for it.
I can. I've just told you that we will pay for it through either government reserves or, if necessary, borrow
Where
to do
does
it.
the government have 60 billion of reserves?
I didn't say it did have 60 billion in reserves, but
all
I'm
right.
saying...
Well, it comes out
doesn't-
at about, what, 6-7 billion a year? Where do we have these reserves?
It doesn't all have to be paid in 1 year.
It has to be paid over a period of time.
Probably over
What
10
is the
years.
size of our reserves at the moment?
It's nowhere near that figure,
Right,
of course.
exactly.
And you're right on that, but it doesn't all have to be paid in 1 year.